Carrollton police say a man infected with HIV raped at least 2 North Texas victims, and there could be others all across the country. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is live in Carrollton tonight with a story. Amelia.
Steve, local sexual assault programs say that it's common that an offender doesn't stop at just one person, and the suspect could face more charges as detectives reach out to other potential victims. Last month, a sexual assault survivor made a report to police while at a Carrollton hospital. The information led detectives to 25-year-old Carlton Tambeoga, and they charged him with sexual assault. When detectives identified a second victim, they charged him a second time. Since then, they've contacted 4 more potential victims and believe Tambeoga committed sexual assaults in the Metroplex, Houston, and Atlanta, Georgia.
My reaction is, 1, I'm not surprised, and 2, I'm so grateful that we're living in a time where law enforcement is collaborating in this way and has the evidence and the technology to be able to recognize that this individual is a serial perpetrator.
Amy Jones is the CEO of Dallas Area Rape Crisis Center. She works with survivors of sexual violence every day.
So many survivors do make reports to police, and so many choose not to. Sexual assault is one of the most underreported crimes.
Another concern, police shared Tambeoga is HIV positive. This means he could have spread the infection to his alleged victims.
It's always a concern, right? Most perpetrators are not using some form of protection when they perpetrate this type of sexual violence against an individual.
Detectives are working to reach out to the additional victims as part of the investigation. That could be difficult, as many fear coming forward.
Unfortunately, there is still an incredibly strong stigma. There is still a lot of shame. There are still so many individuals who, in their individual cultural communities, right? Maybe in their family, in their community of faith, in their workplace, or even at large, feel like they are not able to come forward and speak about this.
Jones says that even if sexual assault survivors don't want to file a police report, they should still get tested for STIs. While Tambeoga sits in the Denton County Jail, Jones commends the survivor who helped police arrest him.
I thankfully have been in this work long enough that I have seen a shift, but I'm going to tell you it's not enough. We still have a lot of work to do. There's still way too much shame. There's still way too much victim blaming. The Dallas Area Rape Crisis Center has a 24/7 hotline people can call for support. Tambeoga is currently being held at the Denton County Jail. His bond is set at $600,000.
Abuse were taking place in 5 group homes housing adults with mental and physical disabilities. Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. The operator of Loving and Caring for People, LLC, has been arrested. Police say there could be more arrests and more possible victims. Fox 4 Sean Rabb live from Arlington Police Headquarters. Sean.
Clarice, what was allegedly happening inside these homes? Criminal, only coming to light when one of the residents approached a neighbor, made an outcry asking for help to get away. This home in a quiet Arlington neighborhood served as a group home to people who depend on others for care. Care neighbors and police say was scarce.
One day I was in my backyard and there was an elderly guy back there that looked like he had cerebral palsy or something, asking me to call 911 that he was trying to escape. And so we called the cops, got him out here with the ambulance and fire trucks, and they've been out here a couple of times since.
That started a 4-month investigation leading to the arrest of Regla Sue Becure, charged with abandoning, endangering an individual with imminent danger or bodily injury.
About a week ago, I saw some police come, and then shortly after that evening, there were 10 large suitcases that were pulled out into the front yard.
I'm angry.
Lieutenant Kimberly Harris leads the Arlington Department's Behavioral Health Unit. 5 group homes operated by Becure across Arlington, Mansfield, and Grand Prairie, part of this investigation.
Some of these individuals were not mobile. They were unable to leave their bed, or they were wheelchair bound. In one instance, a gentleman was wheelchair bound. However, he had no wheelchair at the home and was unable to go around getting anywhere in the house. He had to crawl. He had scars from crawling around.
Residents, police say, were neglected and their debit cards abused. Deceased clients' possessions, like vehicles, allegedly kept by Becure.
One of the first things that we set off alarm bells for us was the amount of people that we suspected that she was caring for, the conditions in which we found the individuals, and other things. Again, it's an open investigation, but there were some warning signs as far as the care for these individuals.
Police wonder if there are more homes and more potential people suffering silently.
So obviously we want to reach out and see if there's others, because these homes are very easy to start, and referrals are very easy to get from hospitals, so they could be everywhere. We know of that many.
So here's what Arlington police want to hear from you. Putting a number on the screen right now. It's a recorded line. Call and leave a message. There are no really licenses for these group homes. Anyone can open them, and there are really no state regulations. There are many of them across neighborhoods, your neighborhood, in fact. Most give care with compassion, but some, and Arlington police say at least these five did not give help, but hurt. In fact, took from folks they were supposed to give to and did not treat their clients with dignity.
Dallas police say a man stole a car from a gas station with a woman inside, drove the car at dangerously high speeds, and violently crashed, killing the woman inside. Hello, I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. Surveillance video shows the crash. You can see sparks flying in the distance. The victim in the back of the car when this happened has been identified as Karen Mariella. Her family tells us she's a mother from Honduras. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is in Dallas tonight with the latest on what we know about the victim and the investigation. Peyton.
Steve, and the suspect admitted to police he saw the vehicle running in a gas station parking lot, and he decided to steal that vehicle. But in the back seat, a woman was asleep. Her family tells me they are in Honduras, her extended family, and they are heartbroken because she leaves behind 2 young daughters. Family members thousands of miles away are mourning the loss of 32-year-old Karen Mariella of Honduras. The mother of 2 left her home country for Texas about a year ago to provide for her family. But Sunday morning, Mariella was killed. Investigators say 26-year-old Darian Thomas stole the vehicle Mariella was in and crashed into a light pole in Pleasant Grove.
We saw the car out there. It was pretty bangled, and there was a good amount of cop car presence out here.
Monday, debris is left behind from the black Honda Accord near Mayrea Diaz's house.
I can't even imagine the feeling she had, just the terror, the fright.
Those final minutes of terror started at this Fox gas station near CF Hahn Freeway and Murdoch Road. According to Thomas's arrest warrant affidavit, he told investigators he was at the gas station and saw 2 people get out of a black Honda Accord. Thomas went outside to check and see if the car was running. Since it was, he stole it, police say. Mariella was sleeping in the back seat of the Honda while her 2 friends went inside the Fox gas station. The owner of the car spotted Thomas leaving in it and called 911. Surveillance video shows the Honda Accord traveling southbound on Murdoch Road at a high rate of speed and then crashing into a pole. Police say Mariella was ejected from the vehicle and died on scene. According to the affidavit, Thomas stated to a witness that his legs were broken and that he stole the vehicle because he needed a ride to work. He then asked the witness for a gun to kill himself. Later in a police interview, Thomas said once he started driving, Mariella woke up and began yelling. Thomas admitted to investigators that's when he started driving recklessly and lost control. And Steve, Thomas remains here this evening at the Dallas County Jail. He faces theft and murder charges.
It was a car full of people, 6 in all, at least 5 teenagers that police say opened fire on undercover police officers in an unmarked car late last night, hitting one officer in the hip. When police caught up with them, 2 teenagers were arrested, 3 others later released. Police trying to find the 6th person who got away. Fox 4 Sean Rabb outside Dallas Police Headquarters. Sean.
Yeah, and in just a very, very short time, undercover officers in a plain vehicle, unmarked vehicle, went from following a car to taking gunfire.
When I come out and stood on my patio, all you could see was police cars coming, and it was a ton of them.
This woman, who asked we not show her face or use her name, describes the scene in the 7200 block of Chesterfield early Thursday morning.
There was a car in the entrance of the apartment complex.
Yes, ma'am.
And that car was that blue Camaro, and it was just sitting there, but you could see where they had bailed out.
6 people were in the car where a gun fired into a car carrying police officers working covert, almost 7 miles from where the drama came to a close. Police officers are out every night in undercover vehicles looking for suspicious or criminal activity. When the police officer spotted this car driving in some kind of way that got their attention right here at Easter and Deer Path, and they began to follow that car.
And at one point, a suspect in the vehicle fired at officers in the unmarked vehicle, going through the driver's side door and striking one of our officers in the hip. Air 1 and officers pursued the vehicle, eventually taking 5 suspects into custody.
It was a young lady and a guy that they arrested.
17-year-old Jahart Nickelberry was charged with aggravated assault, evading arrest in a motor vehicle, aggravated robbery, and theft. A 15-year-old girl also arrested, charged with evading arrest or detention. 3 other teenagers were released without being charged. 2 of them went to a hospital for observation. Police are looking for a 6th person who ran from that car. The officer, not yet identified, has gone through a couple of surgeries at Methodist Medical Center.
In 1 second, you can find yourself fighting for your life. When we put that badge and that vest on every morning and go to work, or at night and go to work, you never know. And this officer, found himself in that situation. We're blessed that he's here with us, and it's just a reminder to the public how dangerous our job can be in a matter of seconds.
So now that officer is going to be on the long and slow road of recovery, but he will, in fact, recover. The chief, Eddie Garcia, is going to walk through this shooting incident Monday with the media. They're still looking for this 6th person. The car that they were in, these 5 teens, it was also stolen.
Thieves forced a store employee and a customer to the floor at gunpoint during a robbery. After stealing from the store, police say they took off in that customer's vehicle. Fox 4's Deanna England joins us live with more. Deanna.
Hi there, Clarice. Well, investigators are calling it a bold and cowardly robbery. They're hoping the surveillance video leads them to the suspects.
2 individuals that come in and actually put people in danger for their lives. They've got at least 1 handgun.
March 4th, the surveillance video shows 2 suspects entering the smoke shop in the 9000 block of Randall Mill Road in East Fort Worth. One of them wearing light-colored clothing and a cap. The other dressed in all black, a hoodie pulled over his head and wearing a mask. Once inside, the armed men order the store clerk on the floor, face down. Next, the 2 gather items to steal.
You're going to see 2 things in this video. One of them is very clear, where you can make out the face of one of those individuals. The other one shows how violent they are. When you look at this video, it seems very intimidating. The way we look at it is they're cowards. They're going in there, taking from innocent people at gunpoint.
The video shows an innocent customer walk in on the robbery. He's quickly ordered face down on the floor at gunpoint. He's then robbed of the contents of his pockets. Police say the crooks took off in the customer's vehicle. It was later found abandoned in downtown Dallas.
The vehicle from this individual, now our officers did locate that, I believe, at the 700 block of Main Street in Dallas. So if you're in Dallas watching this, please reach out to Fort Worth as well.
Urging the public's help, investigators want the suspects off the street as soon as possible.
At this point, even if you think you know who they are, please call us. We want that information.
Now, if you have information that can help investigators with the case, or if you know who the suspects are, a reminder from Fort Worth Police, you can remain anonymous and relay that information.